So I was on Twitter not too long ago. Somebody told me to react to Jimmy High Roller's latest video because apparently he was putting massive disrespect on Tim Duncan, but let's see.
In preparation for this video, I thought about some of the opinions I've had over the years about players, teams, eras. Opinions that I know are probably subjective and completely false, but I usually try to stay as objective and non-biased as I can, refer to film, gather consensus when necessary. But in this video, I'm doing none of that, and instead sharing with y'all 5 of my NBA hot takes. Alright, so my first hot take is kinda hard to admit. I almost don't even want to say it out loud, but I'm going to. Tim Duncan has become overrated.
Oh, wow. Wowzers. Well, he did say has slightly become overrated. I actually wonder what this is like, because I will say this. I might have been one of the loudest voices in the crusade of Tim Duncan is actually underrated and underappreciated, and that we should go back and reestablish his career and properly characterize it. I hope that Jimmy High Roller, with the platform that he has, does not go out of his way in an attempt to try to restructure Tim Duncan's career back in the misleading and irresponsible way that people attempt to view him by sitting here and making very blanketed statements about his career that are not factually correct within the moment. I hope he doesn't do that, but we'll see. We'll see.
By the time Duncan retired, he was very underrated. Most fans had him somewhere around 15th, maybe just outside the top 10 greatest players of all time. But miraculously, over the past 5 years or so, Timmy has creeped from 15th to 13th to top 10 to where he probably should be, somewhere around 7, to now all the way within people's top 5, even top 3 players ever.
Now, personally, I don't see no problem with that, dog. I really don't. I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. What Jimmy High Roller said is correct. Like, in real time, because I grew up watching Tim Duncan. In real time, there was very few people who actually appreciated Tim Duncan and put him in conversations of being the best player in the NBA. There was probably a 2 to 3 year stretch where there was a conversation about it. I would argue it's also about 2 or 3 years. But I also don't believe that that is a fair criticism of Tim Duncan, because if you're in a league where other players are peaking at the same time, then yeah, like you're not going to be as high as Shaq during Shaq's peak. Like that's going to be very difficult. Unless you're LeBron or Michael Jordan, you're not going to really have a conversation to be better than Shaq at his absolute best. Similar things can be said about Garnett. I think Garnett has one of the top 10 to 11 peaks of all time. And similar things can be said about Kobe as well. I think Kobe has a top 10 peak also. So Duncan playing in a league where there are 3 top 10 peaks in NBA history happening at the same time, or let's just say 3 of the top 15 peaks happening at the exact same time, isn't really a knock to him. It's, if anything, give further credibility to the competition that he had to face, and the fact that he came out as successful as he did further vindicates and validates a lot of people's opinions on him. But in essence, it's like me criticizing Curry for saying like, oh, well, outside of just a year or two, nobody really thought that Curry was the best player. It's like, yeah, of course not. Yeah. He's playing at the same time as peak KD and peak LeBron, and then later on, peak Giannis and Jokic come in the league. Like, yes, like, of course, you're not going to be viewed as the best player in that time frame, and it's very, very difficult. But it doesn't mean just because you fall short to peak LeBron or peak Shaquille O'Neal that your peak also isn't on par with a lot of other players. So I just want to keep that in case. Also, if you had Tim Duncan out of your top 10, I think you're wow. I think that's crazy.
Guys, Tim Duncan was incredible. The best power forward of all time. He is not one of the 5 greatest players ever, let alone the GOAT. And I think what's probably happening here is younger, or maybe newer fans of the NBA are looking at his accolades and accomplishments and comparing them side by side to other greats and saying, wow, this guy really did a lot, and his resume is better than just about anyone ever. But if you watched Duncan's career unfold in real time, you would have felt the impact he had on the league and on the Spurs, but you would have also felt the massive role that the Spurs system and Popovich's coaching excellence played on Duncan.
There's no way that Jimmy High Roller is about to push some of the most casual takes in the last 20-25 years. There's absolutely, positively no way that he's about to make that video. There's no way. People kill me with this idea of like, oh man, the Spurs, the third grade of an organization. Like, were they really? Because what were the Spurs doing before Tim Duncan got there? They drafted David Robinson. I want to say, when did they draft D-Rob? Okay, so they drafted David Robinson in 1986. 1997, #1 overall pick, because that's how bad they were in the year prior. The following season, be very mindful that he didn't come into the NBA immediately because he finished his service in the military, right? So the following season, they had the 10th overall pick, selected Willie Anderson over Dan Marley and Rod Strickland. Sounds like a pretty good organization, right? Mind you, they also have Alvin Robinson still on the team as well. Then in the next season, because again, they're still bad, they have another top pick, 3rd overall selection, Sean Elliott over Glenn Rice. It seems like when that #1 overall pick isn't there, the selection that they make aren't as cohesive and sound as they should be. So there's that. Now, what about from a coaching standpoint? What did they look like before Tim Duncan got there? Okay, well, they had Bob Weiss, I'm not 100% sure, but they had him as a coach. Then they fired him after 2 years, brought in Larry Brown. Fired Larry Brown after 3 or 4 years. Then fired Bob Bass, fired him. Then went through 3 head coaches in 1 season, finished off with John Lucas. Then they got rid of John Lucas after a full year. Then they brought in Bob Hill. Then they fired Bob Hill after 2.5 years, and then Greg Popovich took over. Now you're probably thinking, oh, Greg Popovich, right? Well, at that time, Greg Popovich is not an all-time great coach. He's a rookie head coach. No one doesn't know who Greg Popovich is. And in the first year Greg Popovich coaching, he effectively was coaching a tanking organization because they tanked to get Tim Duncan. So when Duncan came in, we are talking about a franchise that was on their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th head coach within basically a matter of 10 years. And in the coach that he received, Greg Popovich, at that time had only coached 1 year of basketball as a head coach and was a head coach for a tanking Spurs team. That's the all-time great San Antonio Spurs for you. By that time also, they only made, 1 conference finals appearance since the early 80s. Round of applause. Amazing organization, such a sensational, great wealth of history that San Antonio had. No, it did not. Duncan brought that in. It was not a great organization before. If Duncan does not exist, if the subsection of Duncan's career does not exist, nobody ever thinks about the Spurs as his great franchise. Nobody thinks that. Nobody. We say that now because of the years of Tim Duncan. The Spurs were not, none of that. And also as a sidebar, after Duncan retired, he ain't been looking too hot since, right? And they had to tank to go get another 1st overall pick and a transcendent player. I'll even give them a little bit of a break. The whole Kawhi Leonard situation really didn't work out, but nevertheless, no, let's stop it now.
He was unbelievably consistent. He was a defensive juggernaut. He was a leader. But Duncan was also the beneficiary of the most competent organization in the league that prioritized team ball and continuity. From Hall of Fame teammates he played with for the majority of his career to all-time greats that played big roles in helping the Spurs win championships, Duncan was always surrounded by winning culture and winning teammates.
No! This is the shit that makes people say Tim Duncan is underrated, not overrated. Please, let's stop the shenanigans. Once more, the Spurs were not the most competent franchise. They were a franchise that got lucky. David Robinson got hurt in a year when it made sense for them to tank and drafted a superstar transcendent player that was selfish, that was allowing them to do the things that were necessary for them to win. People kill me with this idea of, he came in there with Popovich and they had a system. No, they did not. Go look at early Spurs basketball. It's literally dump the ball into Duncan and he's posting up and no one's moving. Oh, they had so much chemistry, continuity, and consistency. No, that was later on. Cause y'all kill me with this, bro. Duncan won a championship in 99. Let's see the 99 Spurs. So Avery Johnson, he was there for quite a while. He was consistently there throughout the 90s. So okay, that's fair. And David Robinson and Sean Elliott, okay. Mario Elie though was not. No, he played for the Houston Rockets. I remember that. So he wasn't. Jaren Jackson, Triple J, his father. No. He got there the year before, so no, that's not no consistency there. Steve Kerr, no, he played for the Bulls in the late 90s. So no. Jerome Kersey, I know he played for the Portland Trailblazers. When he come to San Antonio? Oh, he came to San Antonio that year. Man, that's a lot of consistency. Now let's fast forward a little bit to the next championship that they won in 2003. Let's see how much the team changed since then, right? Tony Parker, oh wow, TP. Hall of Famer, great guard. Tony Parker, when he got there, was in his sophomore season. He was second year, not consistent. That's not how their roster was consistently built up until that point. So no consistency there. Oh, Bruce Bowen. Oh, wow. Consistency, right? He was there. Oh, no, that's right. He played for the Miami Heat. He got there the year before 2003. So once more, another player who had only been there for 2 seasons. That's not consistent whatsoever. So there's that. Oh, wow. Steven Jackson, Captain Jack. He was there for a long time, right? Oh, no. No, it wasn't. He also just got there the year prior, and the year before that, he only played 23 games. That's not consistent either. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. There's a lot of new faces here for a consistent team. Manu Ginobili. He was there too, right, for the long haul. Oh, no. It was his rookie season. So he too was a fairly new player. That's not consistent. And again, in his rookie season. So that doesn't work either. Steve Smith, Smitty, veteran. How long was he there again? Oh, no, he got there the year before as well. Damn. So David Robinson and Malik Rose, all that consistency of players who've been there for an extended period of time by the time he won another championship. Nope, that's a lie. Please stop pressing that lie as well. It's an egregiously bad lie. Stop lying. Tim Duncan, by the time he won another championship, was playing for essentially a completely new roster. And some of the more identifiable names on this list were players who were either in their rookie year, in their sophomore season, or players who literally retired by the end of the year. I dare ask you, good sir, how many players in NBA history could have won with that roster? Not only one, but also go through the juggernaut and gauntlet that is the Western Conference, beating Kobe and Shaq in that same process. The other thing that's also very interesting is, God forbid, oh my goodness gracious, Tim Duncan actually has a good coach and supporting cast around him. Oh my goodness, how dare he? Now, mind you, I just gotta point this out, and this is where a lot of this Tim Duncan, I guess, propaganda, if you will, a lot of it comes from, because Jimmy High Roller, you made a video not too long ago about your GOATs. You did your GOAT pyramid, and Tim Duncan was on there. Let's look at this GOAT pyramid. I think you did another one as well, but let's look at this GOAT pyramid for a second. You see this where Tim Duncan is right there. So Jordan gets to play with Scottie Pippen and play with Scottie Pippen all throughout his prime, and also get coached by, Phil Jackson. But that's not a problem. Then Kareem gets to play with another nigga on the same tier with him, as well as, James Worthy and Norm Nixon and Jamal Wilkes and Byron Scott and Michael Cooper, and also being coached by Pat Riley. But that's not a problem. And also, let me be 100% clear. Before all of those pieces got to Kareem, that nigga couldn't sniff a finals appearance for nearly a decade. But that's not a problem. Okay. Kobe gets to play with Shaq, also getting coached by Phil Jackson. Okay. Magic gets to play with Kareem and all those other players that I just highlighted as well. Gets to be coached by Phil Jackson. Okay. LeBron gets to bounce around from teams and picks the players that he gets to play with, but that's not a problem. Also get coached by Ty Lue and their exposure. That's not a problem. Bill Russell gets to have superstar Hall of Fame talent from start to finish, and gets to play with an organization that was not only consistent, but also progressive by allowing black players to be on that team with one of the greatest head coaches of all time as well. But hey, that's not a problem as well. Shaq played with Kobe on tier 2, also D Wade on tier 4, and also got coached by Phil Jackson and Pat Riley. Okay. Hakeem, albeit, round of applause, he only played with Clyde Drexler, coached by Rudy T. No gripe there. Larry Bird, none of the players that he played with are on this list, but still played with Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, and Dennis Johnson, all of them in their relative primes. In particular, Kevin McHale, all of them in their relative primes, especially Kevin McHale playing with his peak and prime, and also had really sound coaching as well. And then Wilt Chamberlain got to play with Jerry West and also Elgin Baylor, 2 niggas that you have on this as well. But hey, if Tim Duncan gets to play with an aging David Robinson, who came off of a career-altering injury, and gets coached by Greg Popovich, who was essentially a rookie head coach, that's too much fucking help. You got niggas on this list who played with one another and some of the greatest coaches of all time. But as soon as this nigga gets to play with aging David Robinson on a career-altering injury, and a rookie and sophomore and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili with essentially a rookie inexperienced head coach and Greg Popovich, that's too much fucking help. Shut the fuck up, bro. Shut up. Even on your own list. And this is the reason why people moved Tim Duncan up, because what happened is people started to say certain things, speak out loud, and we started started to realize, that logic is actually dumb because it doesn't hold up to what anybody else has on here. Again, if you're talking about organizations, most of these players on the top of your top 15 or whatever play with either the Boston Celtics or the Los Angeles Lakers. Literally the most storied franchises in NBA history. The only other, 2 or 3 players who won multiple championships who didn't play with highly storied franchises, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, I guess you can say Bill Russell to be fair to him because they weren't storied by the time he got there. And then I guess LeBron bouncing around. That's it. Those are the only players who won multiple championships on non-storied franchise with very little consistency before they got there. Please stop. Hey, those are just my thoughts. Maybe I stand alone in this. I do believe that Tim Duncan is not only underrated, but completely disrespected, and this video further proves that. But yo, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoy these type of videos, hit the subscribe button and notification bell. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.